welcome people. And Kathy and I are trying to be a metre or so apart. As you can see, we're being as good as we can. How good is it to get together with somebody actually in the flesh for a change? Are we missing it? Although looking back, the earlier stages of coronavirus, when I would have 3 youngsters in a rather small studio and be gingerly trying to think, I can't adjust that reed, but this child aged 8 can't do it. Trying to put hands around it and then sanitize busily. It was painful. And I did have to crack when a little 8-year-old lad who has bass clarinet bigger than him couldn't put it apart and take it together. I had to do that. And then there was that painful time when we tell them to bring their pencil, their own pencil. And we have a pencil for me and a pencil for the student. Which was which? Oops, sanitize. Although there is a rather funny story from the beginning of it. You heard that Tom Hanks came down with coronavirus. And in the early stages, I came into my studio and our lovely admin assistant was busily spraying everything she could find, chairs, stands, benches, with the strongest antiseptic she could find. And it came out that the person who had just vacated that studio had been in a recording studio, a video filming studio, with Tom Hanks working on the Elvis biopic. No. And it was rather surreal. And until he heard that Tom Hanks was clear and my colleague was clear, it was interesting how the degrees of separation came a little bit close for comfort. However, we had to try and not tell the students too much what was going on because we didn't want them getting excitable. And that's when we realised, okay, it's not such a bad thing being on Zoom and Skype and FaceTime and all of those, which some people have a brain that takes so much tech and then it's, I've had enough. The first week was, no, I can't do this. The second week was, well, I'll jolly well have to, won't I? And by the end of the third week, each day, each week, it was total exhaustion. But we did it. And just think of all the initiative and the enterprise and the stretching ourselves out of our comfort zones. Were we clever? We did. I have realised there's a few things that one should do. First of all, is not schedule students back to back, because sure enough, we schedule a lesson, we say it's going to be on FaceTime, that somehow didn't work, so we go to Skype, no, that didn't work. So then we go to Zoom and it's supposed to be 4 o'clock, but it's now 3 minutes past 4 and Zoom would not let me go anywhere except 4:30, which was going to run into the next student. So I have learned that we have to have time between students, A, to get the tech happening, and B, to write up notes of what did we do in the lessons. I have had the trusty whiteboard for some. This is Henry and what he's working on, which I would take a photo of. And for others, I have a little post-it note pad, which is rather useful in the shape of a house. So I can write the date and what they were doing, take a photo of it and send it to them.
You do realise that with...
record.
Well, if you do it via Facebook Messenger or Skype, there's a chat function.
True.
So that you can actually record everything in the chat function.
I was recording on Zoom, but then the files were huge. And I didn't get them happening, although since then I've discovered Me Transfer, which does big files.
Well, I use Dropbox.
Yeah. So I probably will start doing that again, but I looked at it and went, AirDrop doesn't want to know, maybe my Dropbox is full, it doesn't want to know unless I upgrade. So yeah, somehow we've got to follow up and say, this is what we did in the lesson. When you try and teach tonguing, and this the sound is. I did quite a lengthy explanation of tonguing, and I couldn't send it to her, and the next week she was still thumping. So that's life.
Yeah, well, you can use different mediums, and I mean, I've been sitting here smugly smiling.
Yes, you can.
Because because back when I did my masters at the conservatorium, when I graduated in 2013, I took MUTEC. Music technology. So, you know, all the rise of these a cappella apps and everyone thinking they're so clever. I mean, I'm sorry, I've been multi-tracking since 2013, and not just on Logic. I use Logic and Pro Tools.
Yes.
I don't use Pro Tools because you have to pay for that. But also Vegas Movie Studio, you can do multi-screen stuff, and if you want to check out my videos, you'll see that. But yeah, so here's me, rather smug. You know, I think on Facebook, the first week I actually published a SoundCloud recording I'd done last year of a Thomas Tallis motet for 40 parts.
And there's the other one when in a lesson a student had duets the week before it all cracked and says, oh, could she play a duet? And I'm trying to play with her lag. I'm thinking, I don't think it's altogether her rhythm at fault. So the next lesson I taped the bottom line and then the top line of the duet and sent it to her, and I haven't heard how she got on.
This is why YouTube's very powerful, because I mean, I don't regard myself as a terrific teacher. It's a frustration for me because a lot of knowledge, but the delivery ain't there.
You've got your skills.
Yeah. I can get very tech, but I've actually done a lot of tutorial videos online, and they have helped people, and you get some really devoted fans.
Yes.
In the old Close book, you know, the old hardcover.
The heavy one, I've got that.
Yeah. There's the 633 technical exercises.
Yes, yeah.
I recorded all of those.
Jeez.
And I had this guy from Brazil.
Yes. Go through
and comment on all of them. Oh, brilliant, you know. Oh, thanks for that. Thanks for that. Oh, yeah, I got to the end. I mean, some people didn't like it. My teaching style is actually based on not evaluating your weaknesses, but evaluating mine.
Interesting.
So, and I know I've had comments that people don't like my videos. It's like, well, you're hardly a master, because what I'll do is I'll be playing and I'll make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the teaching isn't that I'm an absolutely brilliant player. This is effortless. You know, I've had teachers like that. They're not very effective. The most effective teachers are the ones that aren't so good, that have the technical deficiencies. But what they do is they work at those technical deficiencies. Yes. So what I'll do is I'll play. Oops. Okay, let's fix this up. Let's work out how to fix this up. So people sometimes don't like the videos because of all the stuff ups. But to me, my stuff up is probably your stuff
best, but it's also the best teaching tool. And I put up on YouTube one clip where I went, oh, all right, I so did not want to squeak in a performance in front of my own students. I tell them all about buzz your lips beforehand and do this, and I checked my reeds fastidiously. Oh my gosh, I squeaked.
But you can't tell who squeaked because you were playing with Sean.
And I stupidly fessed up. But I beat up on myself for so long afterwards and went, oh, I did not want to squeak. And then I went, well, no, I'm human. And anyway, that's up there.
But actually, so what you could have done with your tonguing student, and in the odd occasions where I have taught, I've given freebies.
Yeah.
So what I'll do after a lesson is I'll have all these ideas buzzing in my head. And rather than writing it down or whatever, I make a video.
Sure.
So what I would do after the lessons is that I would then make a lesson of the lesson on my own separate YouTube video. And the thing with reeds, I've got a number of, and this is the beauty of not being live, because this isn't live. This will be edited. One of the beauties is that you can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can cut. So I've got some of my most popular videos actually are my reed adjustment videos. I got the fine art of reed adjustment. Although I think that the 3-part series, because I've been on YouTube so long that I remember when it only used to be 10-minute videos. And so I had reed adjustment parts 1, 2, 3, that sort of thing. And
whereas I'm saying, can you turn your reed to show me? And then I put up, and I'm saying they've got to learn to adjust their own reeds. But these are 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, and it's a bit slow to get it. And I'm saying my instinct tells me that your reed is too high or too low. So I filmed a video saying this is about right and this is what you could do.
But you see, what the beauty of editing and is that, this is a $5,000 camera. It's, I still don't know how to do a lot of the fancy stuff. But zoom in. So, I'm sitting at my desk and, I'm zoomed in. You can't even see. I'm getting excited.
I know,
you can't even see my face. I'm not vain.
That's the other thing I was going to say is when you start going on to Zoom and you think,
do I really look like that? I know, that's why I put on Libby.
And we've just got to get over it. Otherwise, what are we going to do? Nothing. At least we can work.
And the problem with because after you've done your bit, is that I'm going to have explain my experiences of people teaching me.
Sure.
But also I'm also going to extrapolate some of my MUTEC experience and my experience with recordings and how you listen to those recordings.
Sure.
Because with my MUTEC training, obviously I know how to manipulate sound to get what I want it to sound like.
Sure.
So I record in a spare bedroom, and I have a specialist mic that I use just for my recorders. I would use a different mic for clarinet. But I have a specialist mic for my recorders, and basic sound technique is that when you do recordings, you have the mic as close as possible.
Yes.
Because I don't know if we can hear it. I'll have to review. Is that there's someone mowing the lawn across the road, and I have dogs.
Yes. But I was recording just sound this afternoon before you came on Sound Studio. And I was thinking, I'm very close and it's not really very loud. Do I need to change the settings? And I guess that is a worthwhile thing that you could help us with a video, because I have to tell myself when I've got a student in a lesson, I'm not going to talk about tone. I'm going to talk about rhythm, notes, fingers,
well, you see, this is where
do much about
this is
the
where
sound.
Device comes in. Because honestly, if you're going to listen to a YouTube video, the best way to listen to it is through headphones. Because if I'm recording, say, a sextet, record a sextet, and you've got a sopranino all the way down to a contrabass, there's different sonorities. Now, I know I use what's called, I add a bit of reverb. Because obviously I'm recording in a spare bedroom with carpet and curtains.
Yes.
Now that's pretty dead. Now you can add reverberation.
Yes.
So it sounds like you're in a church or something, but you don't want it to sound like you're in a cathedral.
Yes.
So there's all these gradations. It's and I know how to manipulate all the knobs.
Yes.
And also I change the reverb according to the style. No, the style. And the instrument. And then there's EQ. Where each of the recorders has a different and clarinet and voice has a different sort of sweet spot in terms of range, and in EQ you can highlight that range. Now what I do with my, as I said, I've been multi-tracking since 2013. is that you're adding layer upon layer upon layer, and it's all gradually getting louder. But you've got all these sonorities. You've got these sonorities enhanced.
Yes.
And by the EQ, you've got a little bit of reverb. Now, an iPhone's not going to hack that in terms of
Yes.
the richness. I mean, you can stick your headphone jack into the iPhone and it's like, wow, you know. But you know, and I when I record, when I listen through the headphones, so
We'll have to edit that out. That's me playing
Oh.
on my phone.
very good.
Oh, I'm going to say no.
Okay, so
I declined the call. Sorry, folks. I will put it on silent. That's number one we should know about.
edit.
That was me taking five, and I did 3 takes for the reading I was recording today for tomorrow's live stream church service, which will be in a stone building, you know, St Mary's, Kangaroo Point, lovely building. And I hope that the priest has got either his tech skills or people he can call on to make it sound like it's in the stone.
But but anyway, so you've got all these beautiful sonorities
Yes.
of recorder, and the recorder's an amazing
Yes.
instrument, especially when you get into the lower guys,
Yes.
and you get into the different woods and stuff. But if you listen to, you know, my videos on an iPhone,
Yes.
you're going to get distortion.
Sure.
You even get distortion on an iPad because you know, iPad speakers. And this is,
I was
and also
recording some
laptops.
on my iPad, and I had to take them across to Kathy on a USB because it was not cutting it with the sound. And that was when I thought, I better call Kathy back. Because I thought, oh, come on, I'll just record a few thises and that's, because I haven't done anything for a while. But yes, there's a lot of tech to learn. And what do you think about, should we have
But even laptop,
speakers when we're doing Zoom?
well, you want a decent speaker. You don't want those little USB because you're going to get
No.
distortion.
Is it enough, do you think, to use the laptop speakers? Not really.
No. No. Well, I mean, and I'm going to talk about this
In another
professor
way. Yes.
a little bit later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's fine for talking, but yeah, you would talk about clarinet tone over laptop speakers or over an iPad.
I have been dodging the topic of tone, and mostly students don't get far with that one being raised. But then again, I'm just grateful that in this rather perilous time, I mean, I know musicians, Melbourne Symphony Orchestra
It's
has
terrible.
locked down.
They stood down their musicians.
Stood down their musicians. They say they'll bring them back when it's all good, but they're devastated. And the Sydney Opera and Ballet Orchestra earlier, and I'm just so grateful that, all right, we've lost live performances of the orchestra I play with, 2 orchestras, Brisbane Symphony Orchestra and Noosa Orchestra, and my husband who conducts those, of course, has lost a fee for those, for the whole year, pretty much, or for some. And in this perilous time, creative artists are not getting that much help, some of them, a lot of them. So we are fortunate that if we can keep teaching by online, we at least have some income, and I feel very blessed with that. So if I had to get my head around the tech, better do it. And even I'm going to put it out for more people, wider stream to do
Yes,
online lessons.
YouTube very
Yes,
helpful.
yeah.